So here are some exercises for you to do and just to get comfortable with it. I'm going to do a couple with you, and then you can do some on your own just to get practice, and we'll put the answers up for you so you can check your own answers. But let's look at this. Did you read the online reviews that were written by fake customers? Okay, the easiest way to do this is to find your relative pronoun, and that's that. What follows immediately after that relative pronoun? It's a verb, right? The verb, be verb, past tense, were. What is RP plus verb? That equals subject. Adjective clause. I'm just going to put AC here, okay? Adjective clause. So subject, adjective clause. So we know that this is the subject. Easiest way. And I can't get rid of that because it's at the subject. If I try to get rid of this, it would sound like this. Did you read the online reviews? Were written by fake customers. Were written by fake. It's kind of confusing on what they were talking about. So every adjective clause needs a subject, and the subject for this is that. It's taking the place of online reviews. All right, let's try the next one. Every review that I read gave the product information. So gave the product 5 stars. First thing you do, find your relative pronoun. So in this case, the relative pronoun is that. Plus what? What comes right after that? A pronoun. So if you have relative pronoun plus pronoun, you know immediately, and then plus your verb, you know immediately that, oh, okay, this already has a subject, so I can delete this because that already has a subject. Okay? And I'm talking about every review that I read gave the product 5 stars. I read the review. So we know it's an object. So over here, we're going to say object. Because the second sentence in this, if we were to pull that sentence out, I read the review. So we know that the review is acting as the object because here's the review. It comes after the verb. So it's I read the review. If you really to bring the sentence out, it would be I read the review. That's why we can get rid of that. Because it's object, right? And we'll just take it out. Every review I read gave the product 5 stars. Okay, let's drop down to here and let's see if you can do this exercise. And it says, choose all the possible completions for each sentence. Do not add commas or capital letters, okay? They did the first one for you. Tell me about the people. So I know it's people. So I know I can use whom or that for people, and I can delete it, why. And I can use whom, but let's first find out why. Okay, I wrote about the people. Who you met, that you met, they you met. No, that doesn't sound right. Whom you met or you met. Okay, let's find out why. You can circle all 4 of these. Tell me about the people. So if we put the relative pronoun who here, or that, or whom, what comes right after that? What comes right after it? Well, it's the pronoun you. So plus a pronoun. So we know that if you've got a relative pronoun plus pronoun, it's object. So if it's the object, guess what we get to do? We get to delete it. See that? So do the same things here. Was the hotel, now we know hotels aren't people, so guess what we get to do? And we know it is not a relative pronoun. We can only put relative pronouns in adjective clauses to represent our adjective clause. But now we know we can use that for hotel because it's a thing. We could also use which, but it's not giving us that choice. But now the thing you have to find out is, is this an adjective clause that is object? What's the hotel you found on there? Okay. Is this adjective clause a subject adjective clause or an object adjective clause? Well, let's put that here and let's see. Was the hotel that you? What comes right after that is the pronoun you. So when you have a relative pronoun plus a pronoun or a noun plus your verb, it's object. Guess what we get to do? And since it's object, we can't use whom. It is an object and we can use whom for objects, but only if they're people. So whom only goes for people, so we get to cross out whom. So we're left with, yes, we can delete it, and yes, we can use the pronoun that, because the pronoun that can represent things, right? But who or whom cannot. Woo! Okay, so you guys do the rest on your own here and see what you can do with it. And then we have one more I want to show you really quickly. Just for practice, again, I'm not collecting these. This is for your benefit of becoming really master students over the adjective clause. So if you go back up to page 273, you have a few more practice here. And I wanted you to see this because we're going to get into some subject adjective clauses just as a review. Okay. So if we look at the first one, I read a scary article. Well, we know immediately that we can't use it because it's not a relative pronoun that's used in adjective clauses. Article is not a person, so we can immediately get rid of article. Now our job is to say, is this a subject adjective clause or an object adjective clause? So what do? Well, we know that that can go into an adjective clause, whether it's subject or object, for a thing, and an article is the thing. So if I insert that and use my text box here to say, okay, I'm going to put that in there. And what immediately follows the relative pronoun that? Okay, so that's a relative pronoun, right? That is our relative pronoun. Immediately follows is detailed. That's not a noun or a pronoun, that's a verb. So if you have a relative pronoun plus a verb, it's in the subject position. You cannot delete a relative pronoun from a subject adjective clause because every adjective clause needs a subject. So if we put that in there, I read a scary article that detailed how easy it is for someone to steal your ID. If we tried to take out that, if we tried to do it without it, it would sound like this. I read a scary article detailed how easy it is for someone to steal. What detailed? We're not sure what detailed. We have to be sure that the reader knows it was the article that detailed. So we need that subject there. Okay, so do the rest on your own and see how you do. This is advanced grammar, everybody. It's probably about as advanced as you're going to get, but that's why you're in an advanced grammar class, right? Okay, well, I'd like to say have fun with this. I think grammar's fun, but hopefully you will too. And go ahead and check your answers. They'll be posted at the end of the week for you, just to check. Again, you don't turn this in. Have a great week, everyone.